Hi folks, welcome back to Stacey Can. Today I am making strawberry lemonade concentrate. And I love strawberry lemonade so much. It's fantastic. And it's the fact that I tripped across this recipe I'm very excited about. So while I go over all of this information, please hit like and subscribe down below, and you can follow along down there with the in the show notes for the recipe as well. And I did get this recipe, I kind of tripped across it, from the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. So the new and updated edition. Make sure to check the publication dates that you get the most recent publications and updates on any of your preserving recipes. It's just really important because the science changes, and so do the recipes. So the ingredients that you need are 6 cups of hulled strawberries, Hulled, 4 cups of lemon juice that's freshly squeezed, more on that in a minute, and then 6 cups of sugar. Lots of sugar, I know, but that's the way it works. So the reason why I mention more on that a little bit later regarding the lemon juice is I'm going to use a combination. It takes about 5.5 lemons to get 1 cup of lemon juice. So that would be like, I don't know, like 23 lemons or something like that. And I got 16. So that's as much as I was going to do today. And so I'm going to mix it with some actual lemon juice, store-bought lemon juice, which I do often when I make a punch that my family likes. So it calls for 2 cups of lemon juice. So I normally do like half of concentrate and then of store-bought, and then half of the fresh lemon juice to give it some of that zhuzhiness to it. So, but you do you. If you want to squeeze a bunch of lemons for this, knock your socks off. If you want to use, you could also use just a whole, not squeeze any and just buy a big container of the pre-squeezed. You can do that as well. But I do think having some fresh squeezed lemon juice in there just kind of adds to the effervescence of it. Plus it gives a little pulp in there, which I kind of like too. That's me. The tools that you need. We have our funnel, our lid lifter. I've got my chopstick because we're bubbling, Headspace tool, my jar lifter, and my ladle. Those are very important for this today. I've also got my citrus sweet squeezer if you want to do it by hand, or if you don't want to do it by hand and you ask nicely to a neighbor, they allow you to borrow their juicer. That's what I'm doing today. I'm using the juicer here, which will put the whole lemon into the juicer. Well, I'll slice it up in little thirds or whatever and throw it in there. But it does pull out, you'll get some extra juice in there from the rind itself, but it also removes the pith and the segments in there as well. So it might be a little bit bitter, but with all the strawberries and the sugar in there, it's going to cut that, and I'm fine with that as well. You also desperately need a thermometer, like a candy thermometer or something like that, to put in the pot, because we're bringing it to 190 degrees. So we're not boiling it. You don't want to bring it to a boil before putting it in, before processing it in the canner. So then you also need a food processor or a blender, whatever works. You could possibly use a hand immersion blender as well. It's just a little bit messier. You do you on that. And I got my colander here. As mentioned, I have a juicer here. I've got a pan with my lids in here. I've got a stock pot that will be combining everything, and then I've got my 7 pints heating up in the canner here. So this makes about 7 pints. I do have a little half pint in there just in case it makes a little extra, or just whatever, just in case it's needed. So with all of that, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I like to start with is the dry ingredients. I just think it's easier, especially if you're reusing some of your equipment, but I think it's easier to have it all prepped and ready to go, because sometimes the wet ingredients will need some of the dry ingredients, so I always like to start there. So we need 6 cups of sugar. Now I'm prepping the lemons to juice them. So this container actually holds 32 ounces of lemon juice. So I'm gonna juice all these lemons, and whatever I don't have enough of, I'll top off with the store-bought pre-made lemon juice, and we'll just go from there. Washing the berries, and I'm going to hold them. It's basically just kind of cutting out the center here and getting a little hole in it, H-O-L-E, not H-U-L-L on that part. But yeah, so you're cutting off the stem area. Sometimes you can just, and removing like there is a distinct stem in there. There are tools that you can use to do that. Or these berries are so delicious that I'm probably just gonna cut the top off like that, because it is gonna get pureed, but you're just basically cutting the tops off. Got the strawberries, the 6 cups of strawberries pulled. So working in batches, I'm gonna start to puree the strawberries until they are smooth. I got my puree in the pot here, and then the 4 cups of lemon juice, adding in the 6 cups, ouch, of sugar. And I'm gonna go ahead and kick the heat up to about a medium high or so. And I'm gonna get the sugar stirred in. And once I get the sugar stirred in, I'm gonna add the thermometer. All right, so I've got the sugar stirred in, and I'm putting in the thermometer here, just kind of attaching it to the side. And I've got the heat on medium-high here, and once it hits 190, we'll go ahead and jar everything up. And you do want to stir this frequently. You don't have to sit here and stir it the whole time, but you do need to stir it frequently. All right, the concentrate has come up to 190 degrees, so we're gonna go ahead and start filling up the jars here. We're gonna fill them to 1/4 inch Headspace. Oh, it smells so good, by the way. And I'm gonna do a quick bubble here. You just wanna make sure this helps bring out any air bubbles that might be in there. So I go around the jar itself and then in the middle if you can when bubbling. And I do know I need just a little bit more. That looks about right. I'm spot on. So that is 1/4 inch Headspace, and I'm using the lid water to just clean the rim. Got my lid lifter here. And then using the ring or band, and we're just fingertip tight. Got it. It's hot potatoes, so be very careful. And then just pick it up and over and into the canner. Do not tip or tilt. And repeat. Got the jars in the canner here, and I've turned the heat up to high. And when it comes to a rolling boil, I'll set the timer for my altitude. Got the water has come to a boil, so I've set the timer for 15 minutes for my altitude. For more altitude information for your area, you can check the side over here or down below in the show notes. The timer has gone off for my altitude, so I'm going to cut the heat. And I'm going to carefully remove the lid. You just really want to open that away from your face, because that'll give you a facial you don't want. And I'm going to set another timer for 5 minutes to let the food in the jars settle, and that just helps with the sealing process. 5-minute timer has gone off, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the jars. And remember, we just lift them up and over, do not tip or tilt. There is water on top of the lids, but that does evaporate and go away. And this is how we make strawberry lemonade concentrate. It's really good. It's really good. Now I will say it does kind of have a little bit of a bitter aftertaste, just a snort, because of the juicer that I was using, but I'm okay with that. So if you really are sensitive to that, you're gonna have to just hand squeeze or just use bottled lemon juice. It's up to you on that one. That's it. It is delicious. So how you make it, it's just equal parts of water to equal parts of the concentrate. So if you're using a cup of the concentrate, you mix it with a cup of water, or ginger ale, or Sprite or 7-Up, or something like that. You can mix it with something besides water. So or sparkling water, whatever you choose to mix your strawberry lemonade concentrate with. It's delectable, and it would be fantastic just straight like that, or mix it in with a cocktail. Make a margarita with it. Hoofda. It'd be very good. Oh, it's just it's so good. Highly recommend. So the recipe for all of this information here is down below in the show notes. And while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe, because that does help. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, concerns, by all means, please reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Stacey Can Can. You can at me on Instagram and TikTok at Stacey Can Can. My website is www.staceycancan.com. My email is info@staceycancan.com, and I'm on LinkedIn at Stacey Can Can. Thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy